Hey everybody, today's a very special day, and that's because Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered's campaign mode has just launched on PS4 for folks who pre-purchased select editions of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. So to mark a very special day, we are here with Charles and Martin at Raven Software. This is a big moment for you guys. I mean, this is a huge undertaking. You guys have been working on Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered for some time. Tell me what it feels like to actually be bringing this thing out into the public.
I think now that it's getting out there, you can see the work you've put into it, and it's great to see that the polish has all come together. It's of course great to see that everything from A to Z is, you can play it all the way through, and there's just great moment after great moment. Yeah.
Absolutely, we're very proud to be able to bring this game out. It's been something we're working on for quite a while now, and it's been a lot of effort, a lot of work. We've been, want to say, very faithful to the original. We're fans of the original game, so we want to make sure that we brought a game out that we loved ourselves, and we know the fans are going to love it as well.
I mean, I think if I was going to choose one studio to handle a remaster as important as this, I think I would probably choose Raven. I mean, you guys have a very long history in the shooter genre, so let's talk a little bit about that first up.
Yes, we do. Raven has a very rich kind of first-person shooter experience history. You can go back to games like Singularity and Wolfenstein. In fact, you can go even further than that, back to Hexen and Heretic days. The studio has a wealth of experience and talent pulled from both games and film industry, and that experience comes together in a very kind of rich format to allow us to produce games like this and produce the content that we love to play.
Military shooters too, like Soldier of Fortune.
One of my favorites, absolutely. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about sort of this legacy of Modern Warfare. Now that it's coming out as Modern Warfare Remastered on PS4, this is a game that really just changed the stakes, I think, for the first-person shooter genre. Tell me a little bit about kind of your take on the impact that the game originally had.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember back to playing Call of Duty when it first came out in 2007, and it was a game that it connected you with images of conflicts going on around the world, and those images felt real, they felt gritty, and that was all brought into this game. It felt like you were being dropped into this scenario, dropped into events around the world, conflicts, and you were playing the protagonist and playing these big spectacular missions and battles and gunfare.
Sorry to cut you off there, but speaking of those big spectacles, let's actually check out a little bit of gameplay here while we get talking. Wanted to ask as well, what makes Modern Warfare so special all these years later?
I think it's level after level of you learning how to manage a situation, you constantly seeing your squad, because that to me in MW1 when I first played it was a huge attraction. So it's current. It's contemporary, right? But you also get to see these elite warriors who are not overacting it, etc. Breach doors and get you from point A to point B, overcome all of these obstacles, and kind of the roller coaster ride of being in that position. And also you switch from at one time, you're just one of the guys trying to get through the battle, and then another instance you're soap. You're one of the elite, just meeting your team essentially for the first time. So the teamwork aspect of it and seeing those kick-ass dudes ahead of you and how they stack up near doors, all of that I think was hugely immersive. I felt kick-ass because those guys ahead of me were just, performing their expertise.
And we're seeing some of this Modern Warfare Remastered footage right now, and we'll see more of it as we talk here. But you mentioned a really great point. You bring it up, a great point, is the fact that Modern Warfare, I think, was one of the very first shooters, certainly, to really bring that sort of blockbuster scale to the shooter genre. And folks are out there playing the campaign. It's just gone live on PS4. But I think that's a really interesting point. We've seen other games certainly kind of be inspired by that as well. But this, back in 2007, and I would argue this campaign holds up extremely well today, but this is sort of the ultimate example of how to do a tightly crafted, big blockbuster spectacle of a campaign.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Call of Duty was never afraid to take these big moments and maybe some controversial moments as well and put them into a game. Here we're seeing a Crew Expendable, and this is a brilliant level We have that great fly-in in the helicopter where you have Price sitting right in front of you, and you see the expression on his face. He's smoking a cigar. He feels really like a really cool, tough guy. You know, someone that if you were to go to battle with, that's who you'd want to go to battle with. With him and the other companions going through this level and engaging the enemies, making a way through, kicking open doors into the bridge, taking out the bad guys, and working way down into the belly of the ship. It was really spectacular. There were some great moments in there, and like I say, Call of Duty was always willing to do these moments bigger than anybody else. Big explosions, big set pieces, big dialogue.
And that's a lot of what we have here, just coming across the deck when the chopper guns the terrorists down through the windows. We took that initial content from, of course, Modern Warfare 1, and we pushed it a little further with all of the higher res effects. Of course, lighting has taken a huge step forward in the tech, and casting shadows, the lightning strikes themselves, casting a shadow of the helicopter, the explosion at the end of the chopper just gunning all of those guys down. We just wanted to bring a little more of the contemporary visuals and some of that cinematic experience.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that. So I mean, I think one point I want to just dig in on is this is definitely more than just sort of an upscale for PS4, right? Yeah. I mean, tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely, it is. We've taken many moments of the game and reimagined these, revisualized these. We've gone back to motion capture. We've had a new cast of actors come in, and we've recaptured some of these big iconic set piece moments. One great moment is the moment where in Crew Expendable at the end when the ship is struck and there's a big explosion. Now that's a moment where we've captured the actor, we've captured both the body and the facial, and we brought that scene back together. We've visualized that scene. We have a lot of post effects running on top of that, where we have increased depth of field, we have bulky effects going on, we have a lot of motion blur, a lot of effects going on, a lot of sparks and fires in the background, which are creating illumination to the characters. So there's a lot of stuff going on in those kind of scenes, which really gives this kind of rich filmic kind of feel to the cinematics and set pieces.
Yeah. Character being lit by multiple lights.
Yeah.
And then just going a step further, what we call Parity Plus, we want to absolutely respect the original, but what else can we add that deepens the immersion? So there's small touches, for instance, when when the player gets knocked down, Soap gets knocked down in the tanker explosion, his goggles crack. So to add to the stress of making it out of the ship, and I remember the first time I played it, it was hard to get out. But now you have cracks as well as the wetness on the lenses, an intense amount of effects added. And talk about the exfil, even the animation done there is.
Yeah, so during the exfil, just after that moment, there was a moment where it was a very high tense moment. You're making your exfil out of the level, running up the staircases across platforms. That was a great opportunity for us to focus on what is ahead of you. And Price, he's right in front of you, running all the way through that level. So there was an opportunity for us to add in little kind of introduce little set pieces, animations where we see interactions from Price as he pulls himself up those staircases and runs along. There's one moment where he hits and slams into a wall, picks himself up and runs off again, and then all the way around that to the point where the chopper is there and you jump to the back of the chopper and he reaches down and grabs you. And as we pull back, we see this great shot of the tanker you're just leaving, keeling over, explosions, and eventually kind of sinking that ship. We also looked at other areas where we could add dynamics to the characters. So when you're flying in the helicopter again, this is an area, if you look at Price and the characters around you, we've actually have dynamic straps on their goggles and the cloth on their bodysuits. It's all dynamically moving, and really to create a sense that you're in this environment. It's windy, it's wet, there's a lot of atmosphere going on, and it really kind of deepens the immersion the players can experiencing in these kind of levels.
I'm learning a lot about this. I didn't realize that you guys had gone so deep into, just reworking and really making what would sound to be and what looks to be the definitive version of this game. So I think that's really, really interesting. And but I think at the same time, we also have to touch on kind of your approach to keeping, gameplay fidelity, like keeping it really true to the mechanics of the original game. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely.
We worked very closely with the design on the environment art side to make sure that essentially, the clipping layer, the boundaries, the sight lines were all precise. Even on, in the campaign, they were very careful when they adjusted any of the terrain because they didn't want to adjust any of the original AI architecture that was there. That was critical. We really wanted to go after this just to deepen the visual experience. Some animations were adjusted, but those still respected the original timing and gameplay.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, I think one thing Charles said earlier on was parity plus, and this is a word that we've used throughout development on this project. And when we're saying that, we're kind of meaning that we want to retain the look and the essence and the feel and the timing, all the memories that the player has of playing that original game, but look at ways that we can bring that, elevate that feeling, the visuals, the immersion, the atmosphere, everything in the game to raise it to a modern, contemporary kind of shooter that we experience.
That's great. I mean, you talk about, I like that term parity plus. I think that's a great way to look at it. And, that's got to extend to the feeling of the movement in the game. I mean, frame rate has always been super crucial to Call of Duty. I really feel like it kind of began with this one. Obviously, there were some older games as well. Call of Duty 2 had a great frame rate. But this is where it all really came together, I feel like, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. And, just talk a little bit about that importance of that fluidity to the Modern Warfare experience.
Yeah, that was very, very important to us to make sure that we retained that memory of playing the game, how it felt, to a degree where we remastered and reauthored all the weapon animations, the player's hands on the weapons. Now, these are remastered to a point where to a millimeter, to a frame, that they feel the weighting is there, the originals, the timing, the look. We've added in extra movements, extra dynamics to those weapons, but essentially the feeling of how you're holding and firing those guns is the same feeling that you'd experience in that original game. So yeah, again, all falling into this parity plus, just keeping that level of memory intact to the classic game, to doing that in this one.
And right now, I guess on screen, we're seeing some of shock and awe. So one of the ways we added the plus to this level, outside of just the general art improvements, we've got the body sense. You now see your hands grabbing the grenade launcher right at the start of the level. You load it up, and it's go time. So you are more present in this game because you can see parts of yourself in it.
Yeah, you have a much greater presence in the world, a greater level of interaction between you and the environment, the weapons you're holding. The weapon there is a great example. Also, when you're fast rappelling down from the helicopters, you now see your arms, your legs. You can look down and see your body in the world, and that wasn't there before. We've gone to all the effort to recapture and install those animations into the game to really build that connection between you and the gameplay you're playing in.
And levels like Aftermath, I guess no spoilers, but you can see your hands in that level, and you understand by looking at your own hands what has happened.
Fascinating. Yeah, that's certainly a very iconic moment in the gaming medium. And I got to tell you guys, I mean, you guys went above and beyond. This is not honestly what I was expecting. I knew you guys did more than just sort of crank the resolution up. But you guys really got in there. I'm kind of curious how long you've been actually working on this title.
Yeah, I don't know if we get into that much. It's been a good amount of time.
Yeah.
Enough time to remaster, build from scratch every weapon. And we can talk about weapons a bit because I know a lot of fans are all about those weapons. And also the characters all from scratch, including, of course, Price and his whole outfit, his look. So on the weapons, we really wanted to make sure, the weapon scene, that they pushed the fidelity even there. So several of the weapons have transparent magazines, and you can actually look at the bullet count as you expend, put your shots out there. And also we implemented what we call the weapon inspect. So down on the pad, look at the side of your weapon, and if you have a transparent magazine, you can see how many rounds are left in there. And each weapon, the casing it shoots out is accurate to the type of to the caliber of the weapon.
Interesting.
itself. Yeah. So a lot of passion just behind the weapons.
That's fascinating.
All from scratch.
Now, I know obviously the campaign is what's out right now for PS4, but I did want to just briefly touch on multiplayer as well, because this is something that's near and dear to people's hearts. So I'm kind of curious how your philosophy is going to extend to the multiplayer realm when the game actually launches alongside Call of Duty Infinite Warfare.
Well, with multiplayer, that was even more important that we stayed faithful to the original memory of the original game. And so in there, we stick very rigidly to the timing of the animations. Again, the weapon animations that come across from SP are used, again, in the same timing, same weight, same feeling in MP. So again, it was even more important, as I say, more important to retain that feel in MP, even more so than it was in campaign. We had some certain flexibilities in campaign, but MP was really crucial from the outset that we have to maintain the feel and the memory of that original game.
Yeah, and on the art side, to speak to the visual quality, on a map like the campaign crew expendable level, you could really take the blacks and go very dark and very high contrast, and use kind of particles, smoke, etc., to really immerse the player as much as possible. On the multiplayer side, we wanted to make sure that the player reads were protected. We didn't change any of the lighting, the sun positions in those maps. 'Cause
Interesting.
we wanted to retain the same, oh, that guy's in shadow, or he's, he's running through the sun. So there was much more effort, I think, behind MP to capture that original experience for the fans from MW1.
That's great. I remember playing it at Call of Duty XP, and I noticed though we played on Overgrown, one of my favorite maps from the old days. But definitely, it still has like a lusher look. I mean, the crispness, the higher resolution really actually benefits the game quite a bit. It's a much better looking title now in multiplayer.
It's a very atmospheric level as well.
Yeah, that's great. So, today's your big day. The game is getting out there on PS4. Folks are playing it right now. Do you have any final thoughts?
Well, it feels great to finally be at this stage of development. It's been a long development, and we've been very close to us, something we're very, very passionate about. So we put every effort we can to deliver a game that we feel the fans are going to love and going to enjoy. We feel very happy and very proud of the achievements we've made and the efforts that we've managed to put in some new features in there and new effects and new animations. So we're feeling pretty good where it is.
That's looking good.
Yeah, just excellent support from all of the people on board. This was absolutely a kind of craft of passion. I mean, so many people have those good memories, and we just hope the fans are absolutely thrilled with it.
Yeah, I mean, this is an important one, there's no doubt. This is a game I think a lot of people hold very near and dear to their hearts, but based on what we're seeing here, it looks like it's in great hands. I can't wait to try out that multiplayer a little later this year. Thanks a lot, guys, for joining us. And Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered is out right now. The campaign is playable on PS4 if you've pre-purchased Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, the Digital Deluxe, or the Legacy Edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sid Schumann with PlayStation Blog.
Pre-purchase select editions and play the Modern Warfare Remastered campaign 30 days early, starting October 5th only on PS4.
PlayStation